Good evening, everyone. My name is Dharmasiri. I'm the moderator of this session. On behalf of the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Quality and Productivity, I would like to welcome all of you to our webinar series titled Together We Rise. We have had 2 webinars previously, and this is the third in the series. It is in line with our mission and vision of our association, simply to uplift the quality and productivity in our nation. A little bit about our association. It was founded in 1996 and is the apex body of practicing professionals who are committed to uplift the quality and productivity of our nation. We host many national and international events on quality and productivity annually, such as National Convention for Quality and Productivity, International Convention on Quality and Productivity, 5S Convention, Total Quality Management Awards, and also conduct training on these areas. We support the industry in numerous ways in enhancing quality and productivity. Today, we are touching a very important but different subject area, which is the 5S of the mind. For this, we have selected the best resource person who had transformed himself from an engineer of electrical to engineer of hearts and minds. He is none other than Prof. Ajantha Dharmasiri, the director and the chairman of the Board of Management in the Postgraduate Institute of Management, University of Trichavadanapuram. He is the immediate past president of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Sri Lanka, and was a vice president of the Asia Pacific Federation of Human Resource Management. He is an adjunct professor at Price College of Business, University of Oklahoma. Over to you, Professor, for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Dharmasiri, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you SLAAQP for inviting me. Ayubowan, Wanakkam, Assalamu alaikum, a very good evening to each and every one of you. So from locking down, we are looking up for fresh opportunities, fresh possibilities, fresh synergies. So this is a great way of having this series in order to ensure that we are reviving socio-economic fronts of the country. For that, quality and productivity together play a critical role. So in that backdrop, let me talk about 5S for the mind. I must confess that I made a similar presentation some time ago to the SLAAQP at PIM, which is my institute. So there was a slide of that that was included in that video as well. So today is a revamped summary of what I had been presenting to the SLAAQP annual convention some time ago, and also Justica invited me to do a one-day session again on 5S for the mind. So today is a summary version of what I had been presenting in the past. So let me invite you to go with me through the slides, and then please stop me, interrupt me, ask questions to clarify things. You can use the chat box, or you can have the virtual hand raising option, preferably at the end once I finish the presentation and hand over to Professor Hemanthi. She will select and pose questions based on the time available. So that is the game plan for this evening. So let me invite you to join me in going through the slides. So the topic assigned to me is 5S for the mind. So PIM, PRICE, CMI, and CIPM are the 4 institutions that I closely associate as a common eye in PIM, PRICE, CMI, and CIPM. So what is 5S for the mind? It all begins with 3 key aspects. So to set the foundation for our discussion, I'm very particular about these 3 key areas. It's all about back to basics. So COVID-19 was an invitation to go back to basics. So basics are all about essentials, fundamentals, building blocks, DNAs. So we got to revisit back to basics. And as Tom Peters, one of the veteran management thinkers, advocated, we got to be brilliant on basics. And once you do the first 2, third thing will happen automatically, build the base on basics. build the business on basics, build the enterprise on basics, build the organization on basics. So these are the three things on which I'm going to locate my presentation. Back to basics, be brilliant on basics, and build the base on basics. So with that, 5S in a nutshell. I'm sure 5S is nothing unusual, nothing uncommon, nothing unexpected for you. We are familiar with 5S. So essentially, it talks about Seiri, Seiton, Seizo, Seiketsu, and Shitsuke. In English, sort, set, shine, sustain, and standardize. And they happen in a sequential manner. Seiri leads to Seiton, leads to Seiso, and Seiketsu. So while these have the cyclic process, Shitsuke is the discipline, the sustainability of the whole thing. So from sort, set, shine, sustain, and standardization. In Sinhala, we say sadhanaya, sakasanaya, shodhanaya, sammatakarana, shikshanaya. I like the final word, shikshanaya, shitsuke. That's about sustaining, the standardizing the whole thing. We need the right shikshanaya, right discipline, right mindset for that. So I say 5S is not just mere Japanese housekeeping. It's far beyond that. It's far enriching concept than that. So that prompted me to reflect and to relate and to share what I mean by 5S for the mind. It is not merely for the matter, it is for the mind. So let me share my thought process, why I argue 5S is too precious to be left alone with the material things, with cleaning things, with just mundane things. It has to be go beyond from micro to macro. That's my argument. So let's see. So mind over matter. The revered religious text Dhammapada begins by saying Mano Pubbangama Dhamma Manosetta Manomaya. Mind is the forerunner for success. First the mind, then the matter. So where is mind? It's a deep philosophical question. So is mind and brain same? Again, confusingly complex question. So I would argue wherever there's no matter, there is mind. It's all over our body, but it's concentrated in brain. So we loosely associate mind and brain sometimes. So mind over matter. And in Sinhala we say, Sasala sitatula at the kasala, misala sitatula at the kusala. So do you want kasala or kusala? We saw Meetotamulla garbage dump collapsing, killing people, a human tragedy, environmental tragedy, social tragedy, clutter, clutter, clutter. So we got to have the right kusala, not kasala, in our mind. So that's mind over matter. So in our MBA program, we have the acronym we created, Mind Before Action, MBA. Of course, MBA means Master of Business Administration. Sometimes people sarcastically say mentally below average. People who have started doing MBA halfway through, they get bored and they say married but available. But we prefer the acronym Mind Before Action. Thinking performers. First think, then act. Don't just act for the sake of acting. Don't just keep on doing things for the sake of doing things. Don't just repeat the same thing over and over again. Think before doing things. Mind over matter. This is the fundamental basis. I'm going to cover 5S for the mind. So let me move ahead. So you got to identify the relevance of 5S to the mind and reflect how it is relevant to me, how it is relevant to my workplace, how it is relevant to my team at work as well as team at home, and reinforce the gaps. Reinforce where I need to strengthen, where I need to improve, where I need to fine tune. So a relevance you need to identify, reflect on it, the applicability of it, and reinforce in order to ensure that you sustain the effort, strengthen the need, and also you are continuing in a happy, satisfied manner. So the starting point, you got to be brilliant on brain, because mind and brain, as I mentioned, have a lot of connections. So brain. First of all, the fundamental requirement, you need to have one. And I hope you should not be sitting on it. If you are sitting on it, this is not the right way. Webinars will not solve the problem. You have to go and do a major surgery to put it back. I hope no one would have that tragedy. Evan duka kati noeva. So the problem is, are we really using our brain? So we use desktop computers at work. Sometimes we use laptop computers. Earlier, secretaries were there for directors and secretaries were replaced with laptops to keep on the laps. And then we have palm top computers, smartphones. So we have desktop computers, laptop computers, palm top computers, but far superior computer is given to us free of charge when we were born. That is here, neck-top computer, neck-top computer. Bella uda pariganake. Just touch and see whether you have one. I earnestly assume the SLAAQP members should have definitely one. Isn't it? So are we really using the brain enough? The utilization of our potential. And people like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, they were using around 12%. But Pruthakjana people like you and me use around 10%. 10%. There's 90% potential awaiting to be untapped, awaiting to be unleashed, awaiting to be explored and used for the betterment. If we can use at least 1% of that untapped potential, you can do wonders to the world. That is the difference between a winner and a whiner. Winner will use that, whiner will not use it, isn't it? So I hope all of you all can be winners in multiple fronts. Interesting, if you want more details about brain, just do a YouTube search, plenty of videos. So let me recommend Dr. Joe Espinosa from Philippines. He discusses brilliant, talks about billions of neurons in the brain. Every minute, million connections are established. Every new knowledge is a neuron connection. So multiple things happen. So why I emphasize on the brain? You got to use it, isn't it? So there's a science around it. NeuroLinguistic Programming is the science for human excellence. So Richard Bandler and John Grindler of US, they came up with this NeuroLinguistic Programming. It has three sections: NeuroLinguistic Programming. It's to do with your neurons, how to stimulate your neurons by using language, using commands, using words, using particular verbal way of connecting with neuron, and programming. You are programmed, you are having a structured approach. The starting point is visualizing and then imagining the future. So I really enjoyed NLP as a learner and a trainer as well. So let me acknowledge my great NLP teachers, Omar Khan from Pakistan and Ranjan De Silva from Sri Lanka. And again, there was a training by NLP Educare Europa, some trainers from that as well. So that is a wonderful way of tapping your untapped potential. That is the starting point of talking about 5S for the mind. NLP could be a very good way of tapping that untapped potential. So starting point is imagination, visualizing, dreaming. So it's all about seeing the future by listening to your inner voice and feeling. So you have to create a multi-sensory depiction about the future. And they say future belongs to those who create it. So how to create the future? By imagining the future. So you have to see it, listen to your inner voice and feel it. It's a multi-sensory perception. So the simplest way of describing imagination is dreaming. And you might ask, is dreaming good or bad? It depends on the type of the dream. Sometimes when I go to offices, particularly after lunch, I see people dreaming. And when they see me coming, they say, hey, hey, wake up, so-and-so is coming. And they sometimes still keep on sleeping. Hello, and they sometimes sing a song. They keep on dreaming. Are those the dreams I'm referring to? No, those are daydreams. I'm referring to dreams for the future. Dreams for the future. And Dr. Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, who came to Sri Lanka twice, and he visited PIM during one of his visits, and he gave a brilliant speech. I still remember. He said, dreams are not what you see when you are asleep. Dreams are the things that make you to stay awake and to work. Think about it. Dreams are what makes you to stay awake and to work. We need to have many, many such dreams for us, for our institutions, and for our nation as a whole. We got to become dreamers, but that is the first point, and we got to become deliverers. I insist on the second point, delivering the dream. You got to have the dream and ensure that you deliver the dream by waking up and moving ahead. That is what is sadly lacking. We can dream, dream, and dream, but what about the delivery of it? That's what they say. Visioning is good, but you have to venture out to achieve the vision. The desired end dream, vision. That is the imagination. So it reminds me of the story that I had been telling in many fronts, Alice in Wonderland. Alice was a beautiful girl. She saw a wild dream. In that dream, she was playing with some funny creatures in a nice lawn. And they were talking to her. She was talking to them. Don't ask me what language. Some language where they could understand, she could understand. So one such creature, Cheshire Cat, came from a branch of a tree and approached Alice and asked from Alice, Alice, where do you want to go? Alice says, I don't know. And the cat says, go in any road. Any road will lead you to the place called I don't know. Is that happening in our lives? If we don't know where we are heading, we will end up nowhere. That's what Stephen Covey of 7 Habits fame says, begin with the end in mind. In Sinhala we say, Danagana giyot kataragama, no dana giyot atarama. So in a recent seminar with a large gathering, I asked the question, having told this story, are you Kataragama people or are you Ataramaga people? They said, we are Kataramaga people. Neither here nor there. I hope that is not the case with you. And after the seminar, one person approached me and said, Ayo saroga parana katavak ne. Then tino alut kata. I asked what? Danagana giyot vattala, no dana giyot mattala. So I will not ask you whether you are vattala people or mattala people, but you should be clear about your future. Imagine the future. 5S for the mind is a great way of imagining the future in ensuring that imagination becomes a solid reality. By seeing the future, listening to your inner voice and feeling it, multisensory way of depicting the future. In moving ahead, it can happen at 3 levels. 3 levels. So what are the 3 levels? Starting with individual. You can imagine as an individual. You can excel as an individual. Take an example from a sporting team like cricket. I always talk about the golden days of Sri Lankan cricket, 1996 World Cup victory. Say, it is not just individual excellence per se. Say, if Aravinda de Silva didn't bat well, if Ramesh Kaluvithan didn't do the keeping well, if Muthaiya Muralidharan didn't do the bowling well, the match couldn't have been won, isn't it? So individual excellence matters, but you have to go beyond in terms of interactive team. Muthaiya Muralidharan couldn't have said, I have finished my bowling, so let me go and rest. No, he has to do the fielding thereafter. So interactive nature team. So excellence as an individual, excellence as an interactive team. Then when such teams are around, it has a spillover effect to the next level, which I call institution. Pudgalaya balapano kandayamata, kandayam balapano ayatane. Vishishta pudgalo sitana kandayama vasanaman, evan kandayam sitana ayatane vasanaman. Ayatane vishishta paladai ayatane about. Excellence is all about exceeding expectations. It is raising the bar continuously, moving up and up with regard to your solid, consistent, sustained performance, isn't it? So how to do that? 5S for the mind gives the recipe for it. So the golden gate is A+, always positive. Dunuve randurutu arenni, A+, subhavadi. So some have written A+ and put somewhere in the office, in the desk, in the table where you can see. It might be your blood group, it might not be your blood group. A+, always positive, always positive. Culturally, we are at a disadvantage. We tend to be negative. For example, say in the morning you meet someone and you greet. Good morning, how are you? So what is the answer you get? Not bad. Negative all the time. So we got to be positive, cheerful, enthusiastic. I'm fine, I'm doing well. Positive, positive. We need as a culture, we need as a nation, we need as a country, be positive. Otherwise, the old Sinhala movies full of crying. Rukmani Devi comes and leans onto a pillar and start crying, saying, "Me krura loke aima upanni. Ayya madama yanne pa ayya obe parama piyuturu premi." Ayya kena yanda nangi yanda me apita weda thiyena. Api me quality and productivity weda karana. See the point? You got to be positive. You got to be enthusiastic. You got to be cheerful. That is the starting point. Now the locking down is over. Now the looking up has begun. Looking up for fresh opportunities, possibilities, synergies. Ladies and gentlemen, time has come for us to work smart in order to make Sri Lanka a better nation. This is a good time for us to awake and to be alert and to do our best, isn't it? It's always positive. Golden Gate. Sri Lanka, sadly, is a country famous for losing opportunities, missing opportunities, wasting opportunities. It happened after finishing of 30-year bloody war. We had a great opportunity. There was a huge opportunity after tsunami. Now the latest opportunity after COVID-19. We see silver lining in the dark cloud. Things are getting settled. Number of cases are getting down. Society infections are almost zero. So this is the time for us to start afresh, think afresh, act afresh. Always positive. Get one thing from this webinar. If that one thing for me is to stay positive. Always positive. Write somewhere A+. I'm going to be positive. My vocabulary will be positive. I'm going to use positive words. From early morning to late night, I'm going to be positive. And in Moroto University, where I studied, there was a nice picture in the canteen, a feeding mother. And there was a nice statement. Start the day with love, fill the day with love. Adaren that was Arban, Adaren that was Puran. That's all about being positive. Subhavadi Manasika. That is the starting point. So with that, this is a classic fitting example. Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. So write the word impossible in a different way. I am possible. I'm possible, not impossible. So Sri Lankan armed forces proved to the whole world that what was seen as an unwinnable war, unfinishable war, they proved that the world is strong, and they proved the otherwise by defeating the most ruthless terrorist outfit in the whole world. So what was seemed impossible was made possible. The power of human mind in action, power of putting imagination into implementation in action. So it might be tough. Now we have a tough, daunting task in front of our organization. It can be a small and medium scale enterprise. We are struggling to pay the salaries. We are struggling to revive our business. We are struggling to have the same market conditions. We are struggling to ensure the cash flow. We have an issue. So think confidently, act confidently. That is what is needed. So with that, let me move further. Seri, sorting things out. Clarity over clutter. Sorting things. What is wanted, what is not wanted. That is the starting point. Clarity over clutter. I would argue it's purposefulness. Starting point of 5 years for the mind is purposeful, being purposeful. Have a clear purpose. Purpose-driven life. When you have a purpose, your life matters. So dream is part of it. Imagination is part of it. Future aspiration is part of it. The desired end destination is part of it. So why you are doing what you are doing, that's your purpose. Clearly. So in French, we say raison d'être, reason for existence. That is your purpose. Have a purpose for your life. In slang Sinhala, we ask, inne kandada, kanne indada. Inne kandanang, there's no purpose. Kanne indanang, at least some purpose. Because you need nourishment, biology for you to continue, isn't it? So purposefulness is my starting point. Seri, sort, clarity over clutter. If you apply that for mind, have a clear purpose. Don't get deviated, don't get distracted by what television channels say, what FM channels say, what social media say, what the teledrama people say. Have a clear purpose. Why am I living? What is my aim in my living? Purpose. Great people on earth, great achievers on earth, great leaders on earth are having a clear purpose. Clear purpose. One such example is from Viktor Frankl, a Jewish doctor who was subjected to huge torture in Auschwitz torture camp manned by Hitler's soldiers. So a lot of people went mentally insane and some committed suicide, but he stayed alive with difficulty. He had a purpose, going back to the society, completing his book, showing the world the atrocities committed by Hitler's soldiers in that torture camp. Aramunak ඇතිව ජීවත් වීම, අරමුණු සහගත දිවිය. එතනට සේන්දුවන්න. එතකොට ඒ ජීවිතය අරමුණු සහගත ජීවිතයක් වෙනවා. වාසනාවන්ත ජීවිතයක් වෙනවා. හැමදාම හැම මොහොතක්ම ඵලදායී ජීවිතයක් වෙනවා. අරමුණු සහගත බව. For that you need focus and energy. So there was a study, global study done by London School of Economics, and they talk about focus high, low, energy high, low, based on their results. So if focus high, energy low, they call it disengagement. And if energy high, focus low, they call it distraction. If both low, they call it procrastination. If both high, they call it purposefulness. That's where I want to locate. So distraction in their survey, 4 out of 10 people are distracted, mind wandering. Sometimes they don't know what they're doing, eternal firefighting. So like reincarnation of God, Vishnu, Munu, Psyche, Abdulsaki. Cellular in the ear, doing work in the computer, have sandwich in the mind and in the mouth, and you say hi, bye. You mess up everything in a grand scale. Distracted. And some songwriters have captured Hita Hilane, Harima Murandu, Tanatana Nautino. Sometimes you say, Oba Gatin Malanga is it asoyano, Sita Usoya. Your mind is wandering, distracted. One key disaster that we have in workplaces, isn't it? And the other side, disengagement. You don't mind what's happening. You don't bother. You just carry on. So if the boss doesn't want, why should I worry? I just carry on. Not engage enough, disengagement. Sometimes you don't have the backbone to talk the truth. And the boss points your coconut tree and tells you, look at that Palmyra tree. And you say, yes, sir. Yes, sir, there are some nuts also. Yes, sir, 3 bags full. Disengaged. But what is the worst? Procrastination. You are neither having focus nor having energy. Both are low. You just carry on, you just continue. And there's a Suddha Sinhala word to describe them, apatayo. Tamanta vedukut naha, ayatinata vedukut naha, ratata vedukut naha, lokata vedukut naha, apatayo. They become parasites, sucking the energy from the tree without giving anything back in return. So I hope no one of you all belong to any of those segments, but what I would strongly recommend is this 10% exclusive premier talent pool in an organization. High flyers, fly highers. That is the future. Purposefulness. Aramunu sahagata bavin piri nisi avadane nisi java atu jivat vime kramavete. Jivat vime kriya pilivete. Etanta tamai api sendu purposefulness. Only 10% in the society are there. Only 10% in the workplace are there. So get into that exclusive cream of any organization. Prestige of any organization. Purposefulness. You know the required focus, you know the required energy, you put that into action and you show results. Focus is all about concentrated attention. Energy is all about vigor, power. Demonstrating that in action. So you need both thinking and action. Purposefulness. So you got to move to a purpose-driven life. Aramunu sahagatachi. Purpose-driven life. When you have a purpose, your life matters. Your life is a valuable thing. Your life is a precious thing. Purpose-driven life. Whether you are locked down or whether you are looking up, purpose matters. So I was talking to a few of my friends during locking down, and they were enjoying their work-family harmony, their mind, body, spirit harmony. They got that precious time that they were struggling to earn. It was a luxury for them to have that physical exercising, that meditation, the music, artistry, gardening, agriculture, being with the family, getting closer to the loved ones, caring, sharing, living with a meaning and feeling. So purpose-driven life. And second, is set. Satan, set, placing things properly, prioritizing. Vital few to be separated from trivial many, prioritizing. So with the purposefulness, you're going to have prioritizing. A lot of people fail because they don't know how to prioritize. Remember, we have only 24 hours. No one in the world can expand that 24 hours at least by 1 second. No. So that's why I say there's a myth in the concept called time management. There are seminars on time management. There are workshops on time management. There are books written on time management. But I say it's a myth. It's a myth. You can't expand time. It's like a finite volume, like the glass of water. You can only decide what to put into the glass. You can't expand the volume, isn't it? So what you can do is to decide what to put into the glass. So you can decide what to do, what not to do, what reality to do, prioritizing. That is what set is all about. That's what Satan is all about, placing things properly. Everything should have a proper place and a proper place for everything, prioritizing. I would go deeper into it in talking about path to growth, your human growth. You have a physical dimension. And that's why we say, Arogya Paramalabha. Health is the prime profit. And we realize that in the COVID-19 pandemic. Physical well-being, your fitness, your well-being. And this is the right time to get that message clearly. You can't do anything without being physically fit. Rajek kunat, lerek kunat. You got to be physically fit and healthy, physical front. And for that, you need to have that physical fitness. So exercising is a dire need. When I emphasize in a seminar, there was a person whom I met 3 months. I asked him, how was that seminar? He said, fantastic. So after your session, I kata dekak naha sa kelimba giya, got the obi track ekak and started exercising. So I asked him after 3 months, what happened to the obi track? Ah, sir, now the obi track has become a towel rack. Obi track has become a towel rack. I hope that is not your case. So ensure the sustainability. Keep on exercising, keep on having that physical fitness, ensure that you wear the face mask, follow all the hygienic expectations, and be healthy. Healthy mind in a healthy body. And then mental sharpness. Mental sharpness. You got to be sharpen yourself mentally. And you've got to upgrade yourself. You've got to be up to date. You've got to update yourself. So internet is a vast ocean of resources. It's full of facts and figures. You get the latest with regard to what's happening around the globe and what's happening around us in internet. So Google is a fantastic resource. And they say world has always been divided. BC, AC, before Christ, after Christ. Before Buddha, after Buddha. The latest division is a digital division, BG and AG. Before Google, after Google. So why fear when you are having Google, when Google is there? So Google. So internet is full of facts and figures. You can get lots of facts and figures, but unfortunately, some people go to internet to find only figures, only figures. So internet becomes a gossip net. Antarjale, janjale pelai. Now, that's your mental side, sharpening your mind. And then emotional, have the emotional maturity, emotional balance. On that narakata dekatama hangim. Foster the positive emotions and control the negative emotions. So the biggest negative emotion in the workplace is what? Anger, anger, anger. Dunna dekakka arayagi kane angili gagana. We think we have done something victorious. No, no, no. It damages a relationship. It damages health, emotional maturity, emotional balance. And then on top of that, spirituality, right set of values. Papu hondu. Core values. I'm referring to CORE, core values. So then you get the peak performance pyramid. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Physical fitness, mental sharpness, emotional maturity, spiritual soundness. So this is from the Western world, what Lowe and Schwartz wrote in Harvard Business Review. And there's an Eastern significance. If you look at Satipatthana Sutra, it talks about Kaya-anupassana, Chitta-anupassana, Vedana-anupassana, Dhamma-anupassana. So East and West come together. Even if you look at the Middle East, if you go to the Holy Bible, it says Jesus, the little Jesus, child Jesus went with his parents to the city, to the town called Nazareth and grew physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's a beautiful concept. It's all about being purposeful and prioritizing your life, prioritizing for physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. Spend quality time on those. If you have time, do other things. Otherwise, this is the priority for you. Think about it. Reflect on this. And then third S, shining. Say so. Cleaning with meaning. Purity. Purity. Your mind should be pure. No malice, no anger, no hatred. As I mentioned, nisala, sitatula, atte, kusala, nata, kasala. Kusalin perenna, kasala ivakka. Sometimes psychologists say why we get a lot of physical ailments, because we are not mentally pure. Our mind is cluttered with anger. So we have the revenge mindset. So that translated into a incurable disease, can be a terminal illness, can be a rash, can be a issue in the body because the mind is not healed. Heal your mind, clean your mind, purify your mind, purity. That's why we say, Sielu Satyo Nidukvetva Nirogi Vetva Suopatvetva. If you can have that wish when you go to bed, you go to have an enjoyable, peaceful sleep, isn't it? Without anything bothering you in your mind. Purity is the third S for the mind, purity. Say so, shining, cleaning with meaning. Like the way you clean your living room, clean your life. Like the way you clean your areas, the matter, clean your mind. Clarity, cleaning with meaning, purity, pure thoughts, right set of values, embrace positive thinking, right ideas, have compassion, love, caring, affection, metta, mudita, upekha. That's what in Christianity we say, love one another, loving kindness, purity, no malice, no hatred. So you can be happy one day that I have no enemies. They might be jealous about me. They might be angry about me. They might be uncomfortable about my success. But I have no malice. I have no jealousy. And they say, Rusya auto koi irisya. So don't have that. And you need to have the right value in producing value. Values are behavioral. Value is economic. So producing value by practicing values. You can't have this without this. Produce value, add economic value, add high net worth by practicing a right set of values. Ethical behavior matters, isn't it? So you got to live the values. That is something essentially important. You got to live the values. Living the values is something essential. Show the values in your action. Practice them in your daily behavior. Show them in your decisions. Reflect them in your key engagements. Living the values. Sad to say, we see less and less of value-based leadership. Leaders who practice values. Sometimes they go for economic value, they go for monetary value, compromising the values. It should be the other way. As US President Eisenhower said some time ago, the people who prefer privileges over principles will soon lose both. People who prefer privileges over principles will soon lose both. Think about it. Principle-centered approach, value-based behavior, that is what is needed. And S number 4, seiketsu, sustain, commitment to consistency, perseverance, effort putting into ensure the consistency. Not to do today, not to skip tomorrow, again to get up and do day after tomorrow. No, consistent adherence to the way we do things, perseverance. No pasubata, utsaya. perseverance, commitment to consistency, sustain. So that's where you need the right attitude. Attitude has three components: feeling, thinking, and acting. In psychological terms, affective, cognitive, and behavioral. Have the right feeling, right thinking, right acting in having that attitude in achieving result. That's where the perseverance, attitude, නිවැරදි ආකල්පය. නිසි ලෙස හැඟීම, නිසි ලෙස සිතීම, නිසි ලෙස ක්‍රියා කිරීම. Attitude. And someone said in a webinar recently, we talk about hand wash, but before hand wash, we need a brain wash. In having the right set of attitude to Sri Lankans, having the right discipline. So it's absurd to see someone carrying the face mask and wear it only when you see a police officer, as if you are trying to show the police officer that you are hygienic. Absurd. You got to have the right attitude of taking care of yourself, taking care of others, taking care of the society. Attitude. And why it is important. There's a nice English statement. Your attitude decides your aptitude, which in turn decides your altitude. ඔබේ ආකල්පය තීරණය කරනවා ඔබේ කුසලතාවය තීරණය කරනවා යා හැකි ඉහළම හිමි පැත්ත. Attitude to aptitude, aptitude to altitude. I have seen many such people in the world with right attitude. They developed the aptitude and they reached the altitude. There's a story about a particular person in Baranas Nuwara when Buddha was walking around, and then there was a dead rat, and the story goes on that he sold the dead rat and got some money, and the story ends up he becoming a rich person. So right attitude to develop your knowledge, develop your skills, develop your competencies, capabilities. Then you reach the pinnacle. Attitude to aptitude, aptitude to altitude. Finally, Shitsuke, standardizing, Shikshanaya, doing with discipline, doing with discipline. Disciple and discipline go hand in hand. Shikshanaya saha shikshava ekata bandhicha pada. Nothing worthwhile can be achieved without discipline. We need to be a disciplined society. We got to have discipline in our actions. Proactive, it's not reactive. That is where I would like to highlight the New Zealand success. I like Jacinda Ardern as a wonderful leader. The way she ran New Zealand in moving out of COVID-19 pandemic, being proactive, doing with discipline. And they don't have a single COVID-19 case for the past 1 month. They have removed all the restrictions. Now the life is back to normal. So when she went with her husband to a restaurant, they were sent back saying, no, it's not enough space, so it's not available. So she bowed down and went back. Imagine if it happened in Sri Lanka. What will happen to the restaurant the day after? Think about it. Proactiveness is something very, very important. So that is how you standardize things. Shitsuke, doing with discipline. So this is how we see the 5 S's: sort, set, shine, sustain, standardize. Seiri, say so, seiri, seiton, say so, seiketsu, shitsuke. Purposefulness, prioritizing purity, perseverance, and proactiveness. So we have to do that in a changing world. We see with COVID-19, it is not the same normal, it's a new normal after COVID-19. So change, and more change. So you got to embrace 5 S's for the mind, for our own progress, in order to move ahead with real confidence. Remember the 5 P's, my way of relating 5 S for the mind: purposefulness, prioritizing, purity, perseverance, and proactive. From 5 S to 5 P's. 5 P's, which are the interpretation of 5 S for the mind. If you decide to embrace 5 P's: purposefulness, prioritizing, purity, perseverance, and proactiveness, you will be a better human being. You'll be far more productive and high quality human being. before anything else. So with that, let me invite you to have clarity in mind. Samma ditti leads to samma vayama. Right seeing should lead to right action. Unfortunately, we don't see samma ditti, we don't see samma vayama, we see vacha, vacha and vacha. Talking, talking and talking. We see that verbal diarrhea coming when the elections were announced. So we have Ranaviru, Rataviru, Suaviru and also Ambaru. So when Ambaru start talking, I skip that part in my news watching because we need to spend time far more productive. So we have time for Ranavirus, we have time for Suavirus, but not for Ambarus, telling stupid things in trying to hoodwink us. So clarity in mind, that is important. So that's where I would like to stop. And so let me thank all of you. Remember, if it is to be, it's up to me. Don't blame anyone else. Don't blame this one, that one. Take charge. It's your life. So have at least 3 key takeaways from today's session. So just a thought to finish. This is a beautiful picture I got from internet. It's from Ubuntu tribe in Africa. Some of the tribes have real values. So Ubuntu means I am because we are. I am because we are. So it's all about getting together for a great purpose, having purposefulness, prioritizing, purity in mind, perseverance, and proactiveness. So that's my wish. So let's get together, have a great team spirit, have a community spirit, and let's make Sri Lanka a better country to live for our future. So let's uplift the socio-economic well-being of our mother nation. Obata jaya veva, obe patum pratna ishta veva, obe jivita paladayi lesa tatwen gunatwen ihala sarthaka jivita bawata pat veva. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for tolerating me. So let me wish all the very best for each and every one of you. Obata subagaman. Over to you, Professor Hemant.
Thank you very much, Professor Dharmasiri, for that very inspirational presentation, which is very valid always, but especially in the aftermath of this global pandemic COVID-19, where many negative perceptions and attitudes, feelings are among many. So you stress the fact that it's from looking down to looking up. Yes, with clarity and with purpose and with positive attitudes. And we often read about 5S related to either workplace or home, but applying it to the mind is a very novel thing. I really appreciate, I'm sure on behalf of all the audience, we appreciate this presentation because removing clutter from the mind is very important so that we don't have any negative emotions, inaccurate perceptions and false opinions. Like you very rightly put it, Nisala Sita Tula at the Kusala, Sasala Sita Tula at the Kasala. Yes. So the take-home message for all of us is to be positive no matter what. And with the positive mind, anything can be achieved. So thank you very much again, Professor Dharmasiri. I would like to ask Professor Dharmasiri to elaborate a little bit more on why 5S for the mind is so relevant to the post-COVID-19 situation.
Thank you, Professor Hemanti. I think we are going through a period of uncertainty. And then they say VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It has already come to our doorstep. I mean, sometimes the future is bleak. Some of our plans we had in March are obsolete, irrelevant now. So we need to have VUCA 2.0. That is vision, understanding, confidence, and agility. VUCA 2.0. We need to have a new vision for future, new understanding of the future, and new confidence about our strengths. Economically, we might be down, but potential-wise, we are not down. Sri Lanka has a huge potential for tourism. The best destination, according to Lonely Planet, the best tourism destination in the whole world. So we have potential. So tap the potential. Don't get discouraged. I think the starting point, Senior Professor Hemanti, as you very correctly said, staying positive. So that is the starting point. So have a purpose. So I think post-COVID-19 pandemic invites us to have these 5 Ps, essentially 5 S's for the mind. Be purposeful and prioritize and have a pure heart and mind, purity, and then perseverance. Don't get discouraged, don't give up, but get up and go. Never, never give up, as Winston Churchill said, but getting up and going ahead. And then proactiveness. Look out for opportunities, see the opportunities in the environment and act accordingly. For example, Brandix, they were struggling of reducing orders of apparel, but they saw the opportunity in supplying face masks, 2 million face masks to US alone. So new opportunity. So look at new opportunity. Say health-related supplies, huge opportunity. Tea. Now they drink tea for hygienic reasons, for health reasons. That's a new opportunity. So look at those. So I think COVID-19 or post-COVID-19, 5 A's for the mind becomes extremely critical and extremely essential, and it has to be part and parcel of our life. I hope.
Thank you, actually true, but I would like to combine them. One is, what are the challenges in implementing 5 A's of the mind, and any specific tips that you can give to overcome those challenges?
Well, thank you, Professor Hemanti. I can share my life. It's sometimes the laziness, the lethargy can creep in. Because when you want to have perseverance, consistency, the laziness comes. For example, I started doing yoga, and some days I feel sleepy. I find it difficult to wake up from the bed, and my body doesn't encourage me to do yoga. But once you go through that, once you get rid of that inhibitance or that inertia, you enjoy yoga, which is a very good way of balancing your mind and body. So I would strongly recommend spiritual practices like yoga, where you get the well-being of your body and well-being of your mind. So having such practices, say getting into a meditation, mindfulness. The problem is sometimes we are mindful, a lot of things clutter our mind, but instead of mindful, become mindful, aware, satya, sihiya, samadhi, satimat bhava. That is important. So those are practical things. So the thing is, when you get derailed due to some reason, it's very difficult to come back on track. There had been weeks and weeks where I was neglecting my yoga. I was neglecting my meditation. I was neglecting my balance. I was crazily flying. Every weekend I was in the Middle East because of MBA programs. So I was coming back, flying overnight, and getting a shower and rushing to PIM, doing another 9-hour session for the weekend MBA batch. My life was crazy. But then COVID-19 was a golden opportunity. The locking down was a golden opportunity for me to have a refreshingly going back to the balance. My body needed that balance. My life needed that refreshing break. Of course, at the end, the break was far too much. But then at least it was very much needed at the very beginning. So it is a well-deserved opportunity to get your life back on track with regard to physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. So you have to be watch out for deviations. You have to be watch out for distraction. You have to be watch out for laziness. කම්මැලිකම නිසා මේක දවසක් දෙකක් අතෑරියොත් එහෙම්ම නවතිනවා. එපා වෙනවා. අත්තරින්නම හිතෙනවා. So it's very difficult to come back. So consistency, vinaya, shikshana, kapavin, those are the keywords.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think, when we look back in our lives, it's just the same thing, that we need to be consistent, need to keep at it, or otherwise we'll fall back. So thank you very much, Prof. Ajantha, for that wonderful presentation, as well as for providing such insightful answers to other questions raised. SLAAQP would like to have your presence on a continuous basis in our programs. So I would like to wind up this session. The association is committed to enhance the quality and productivity of the nation, and we would like you all to join with us. And so please visit our website, which is detailed here, slaaqp.org. We would like to, embrace you as members, as well-wishers, as resource personnel. So please be in touch with us. We would like to have you in our family. So thank you very much, everyone, Professor Ajantha again, and also all the participants who registered with us and who went through this this webinar, as well as the webinar series already done. So a big thank you on behalf of the association. Thanks. I'd like to, wish all of you a very good night.